Hello Taurus, and welcome to your in-depth monthly horoscope for April 2023. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail all the key influences particularly relevant to your sign. You could find that you have a big financial or romantic decision to make at the start of this month, but having Mercury join you on the 3rd will bring you more into the present, but Mercury is going to go into a retrograde on the 21st, and from the 7th it starts to slow down. So I need to really share that with you. But the Sun moves into your sign on the 20th, which is a really positive event, returning after an 11-month vacation, and that also is going to be a big boost for your vitality. But Mercury is not only going into that shadow, pre-shadow and retrograde period, it's also forging some important alliances with other planets, and that is going to have quite an impact on this month. Could make it very, very exciting. And also Jupiter, the planet of growth, well, that forges a splendid link with the Sun on the 11th, but in your 12th house, which is a much more hidden area. What does that mean? I need to share that with you too. So please stay with me as I dive deep, Taurus. Now, if you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you a life roadmap report which can really help you to understand some of the patterns that have played out throughout your life and get a much more intimate understanding, the more challenging ones, but also the ones that present opportunities. Understanding those patterns is a lot to do with how we can take more control of our lives. And in my special package, you can also get your 12-month personal forecast, and there's 30% off. If you don't know your time, I have designed a new set of charts which can work with that. We don't use the ascendant, and we use whole sign astrology, but based on the Sun. And this will help you to reflect in my videos in a very, very positive way. Again, there's 30% off if you have the analysis and the forecast. Please see below for more on that too. So Taurus, your April forecast begins with your ruler Venus very much in the mix. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. But Venus is in a conjunction with Uranus across the first few days. This could see you feeling quite restless around your love life, but it also can give you an electric energy which could attract somebody new to you. Now, whether this would turn out to be a bit of a fleeting connection and a fling, or something more lasting, is another matter. But also it could mean that you're going to make some kind of quick and perhaps impulsive financial decision too. But on the 3rd, Mercury, the planet of communication, joins up with your sign. And it's going to be quite a journey on this particular year, because we've had a series of Mercury retrogrades that have been going on through air signs and water signs. This year it's all about Earth, so it's all about resources, apart from the last week of the year when the reversing Capricornian Mercury retrograde does just inch into Sagittarius, but more of that later in 2023. But as soon as Mercury moves into your sign, it gets into a dust-up with the newly arrived Pluto in the part of your horoscope to do with your career. If you are feeling a bit conflicted, perhaps it's about a relationship issue with a co-worker, perhaps you're finding that your creative talents are cramped in some way by someone's demand to fit into a structure, I think it could feel a bit uncomfortable, but stay with it, because Mars, now in the sign of Cancer, is actually forging a great link with Saturn, now in the sign of Pisces. So that water energy works very well for an earth sign, because the bottom of every riverbed has a base, and that means that earth carries water very well. So I feel the 3rd house position of Mars for you can see some discussions. Saturn's position is very much about the longer term plan, or how you connect to certain friends. So if that professional situation closes in on you a little bit, just stay cool, because I think by the end of that first week it will start to make sense more. But there is of course the full moon. Now this full moon goes across the 12th and 6th house axes for you, but Uranus in your sign does forge a testing angle to the moon. So what does this mean? I think it's possible that if you feel that you're being very giving, sacrificing in your situation, whether it is at home in terms of the domestic load or working patiently behind the scenes at work, it may feel that someone's going to confront you with a demand, or in some ways not appreciate perhaps some of the things that you do that they're not conscious of. I think what Uranus is asking you to do is to stand up for your position on this. So if someone does surprise you with a criticism, you do need to push back. But it's also a reminder for your sign in particular that your energy, whether it's physical vitality or emotional energy, is not infinite. You have to look after that. So if you have been burning the candle a little bit, trying to keep everything moving and working just as you want, it's just saying to you, are there some things you can rebalance? But on the 7th, Mercury goes into its pre-retrograde shadow. This means at 5 degrees in your sign, it's the point it actually gets back to by the point that the retrograde ends. So at this point, you may feel that something that's important to you may not start to go forwards quite in the dynamic way that you would like. But stay with it, because, you know, from the 16th to the 24th, Mercury speeds up, despite it being in that pre-shadow period, and connects to Uranus in your sign. Suddenly your ideas can be inspired, and you could find, even if not all of them work out in the end exactly as you want, you can certainly have a welter of different options working around your mind. Now also on the 11th, the Sun forges an exact conjunction with Jupiter. But I feel that in week 2 of this month, as Jupiter makes its way closer to the Sun, it's possible that some good news or some kind of information can come to you that actually gives you quite a lift. Now, it could be that you're just going to make some kind of spiritual connection about something that's been going on in your world, or you contemplate something, or find a source of information, or you watch a video online where someone really helps you to make sense of something that felt rather baffling, and it could be quite an up. Also, someone could be very generous towards you, and it could relate to a past deed that you've done that they've not forgotten. So some kind of goodwill can come to you around the 11th. Also, some money could come to you around then too. Venus, your ruler, moves into the next sign from yours, Gemini. Now, obviously, Venus in Gemini is a very agile and very charming, and very conversational influence, but for you it's very much about loot. And I think before the end of the month you could be quite pleased by how something does shape up in that regard. I can't guarantee you're going to win the lottery, of course, but there may be something that just gives you a little bit of a surplus, or you find some money. You know, the old thing about finding money in old coats and down the backs of settees, you know, it probably does come in when Venus goes through the second house of a sun sign's chart. But there could be something that's a bit less frivolous than that, that's a bit more substantive, that could please you. But on the 20th, we do have that solar eclipse, and it is in your 12th house, but only literally by minutes. And because it is in a square with Pluto, I think the psychological side of your situation, which Jupiter has been supporting, and it even supports this solar eclipse, is just kind of saying to you, don't deny that, you know, because you are an earthy person and you are very practical and you like to see tangible results for what you do. Do try to embrace the more spiritual domain over the next 6 months. It will be to your advantage. But the sun moving into your sign later that day can also give you a big a big extra boost of physical vitality, which is pleasing. But on the 21st, Mercury slams on the brakes, and that's going to go on through to the middle of May, but the influence doesn't really unravel until the end of May, when the post-retrograde shadow finishes. So just be aware that when it comes to individual ideas, there could be a go, stop, pause, rewind, rethink, go again. But actually what you're doing is redefining the value of that idea and really fine-tuning it. So even if frustration seems to be the primary emotion, actually you're going to get to your outcome in just the right way for you. Now, the last 8 or 9 days of this month see two very powerful and very helpful alliances. The Sun in your sign forges a great link to Saturn. So what you're doing as an individual can seem to work well in terms of your future planning, or if you need to have alliances with other people. The 11th house where Saturn is about your friendships. So you may find that there is something shaping up which gives you a sense of greater confidence and certainty. But also Mars in Cancer is forging a great link to Uranus in your sign. So the inventiveness that Uranus is provoking within you, and has been for the last few years, really can find an outlet this month. And Mars is in the part of your horoscope to do with expressing your ideas, but expressing them with emotion, because it's hosted by Cancer. So I feel that as this month draws to a close, despite Mercury's retrograde, there's plenty of things that can be giving you traction. It just may be that some of the slower, more strategic things are shaping up well, and the thing that actually you're most invested in a more immediate way may seem to be going so slow it really is frustrating. So if you can just throttle back a little bit and not put pressure on yourself, I think that would be a very good thing to do. But Jupiter's influence this month is very profound, and so is that solar eclipse. The more you can tune in to the psychological, emotional and spiritual dimension, the more it will help you in your physical everyday world too. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Taurus. Please subscribe to my channel if you've yet to do so, and please feel very welcome to comment. Thank you.